The night sky stretches endlessly, a silent map of patterns and paradoxes. We gaze upward and call it beautiful, but beneath that beauty lies a question that refuses to die. What if everything we see, every atom, every law, every heartbeat, is not random at all, but the result of an equation so precise that it governs the birth and death of universes? Somewhere, hidden in the cosmic noise, an algorithm may be running not on silicon or code, but on the very fabric of existence itself. It is the equation that shouldn't exist, because if it does, then reality as we know it isn't free, it's calculated. The story begins with a whisper in mathematics, a strange symmetry noticed in the laws that rule the cosmos. The speed of light, the charge of an electron, the delicate constants that make life possible. None of them seem arbitrary. It is as if the universe is fine-tuned, each number set deliberately, as though some cosmic engineer balanced them to perfection. We find patterns where there should be chaos. We find rules where there should be disorder. And so we ask, who, or what, set the rules? In laboratories and supercomputers around the world, physicists search for the theory of everything, an elegant equation that might unite gravity and quantum mechanics. They speak of strings, loops, and dimensions beyond the visible. Yet the deeper they dig, the more the mathematics starts to resemble something eerily familiar: programming. Space behaves like data. Energy behaves like computation. Every reaction, every particle interaction, is like a line of code being executed. Could it be that the universe itself is running on an algorithm? Imagine for a moment a cosmic programmer, not a deity in robes but a mind, vast and abstract, designing reality through mathematics. What if time is a process, space a memory, and matter just the output of infinite calculations? The Big Bang becomes the first line of a program, the initialization of existence. Galaxies unfold like fractals, stars ignite like nodes in a network, and consciousness, our awareness, is simply the system observing itself. The idea feels impossible, yet somehow inevitable. As we peel back the layers of physics, we find more code-like patterns. The Fibonacci sequence appears in flowers, hurricanes, and galaxies. Prime numbers emerge in the distribution of atoms. Even at the smallest scales, quantum behavior seems to obey probabilities defined by mathematical laws. If mathematics is not just a tool we use to describe reality but the foundation upon which reality is built, then we are living inside the equation. We are part of it. But here lies the paradox. If the universe is an algorithm, then it must have a purpose, or at least an origin. Algorithms are written by something. They exist to process something. So who wrote this one? Or did it write itself? In our search for the beginning, we find mirrors instead of answers. Every discovery opens another question. The deeper we go, the more it feels as if the algorithm is watching us back, testing whether we can see the pattern behind the pattern. The screen flickers between moments of creation and collapse. A supernova blooming into dust, atoms rearranging into life, neurons firing into thought. From chaos emerges order, from simplicity emerges complexity. Somewhere in the background, unseen but undeniable, the algorithm hums, weaving every event into a grand computation. We can't see it, but we can feel its rhythm, in the tides, in our heartbeat, in the unfolding of time. Perhaps that's why this idea feels so unsettling. If reality is written, then free will is an illusion. If existence is calculated, then everything, love, death, destiny, is predetermined by code. And yet, maybe the code allows freedom within its boundaries, the same way a symphony allows improvisation within a score. Maybe consciousness itself is the algorithm's way of exploring its own design. The question remains, what if the equation that defines reality is not hidden in the stars or in the atom, but inside the observer, the one perceiving it? What if, in trying to find the algorithm of the multiverse, we are really trying to decode ourselves? As the camera pans out, stars dissolve into pixels, galaxies merge into digital light. The boundaries between science and philosophy blur into a single haunting image, the universe as an ancient, self-evolving program. Somewhere deep in that endless code, a truth waits, quiet, perfect, and terrifying. At first glance, the universe appears to be a realm of chaos, galaxies colliding, stars exploding, atoms vibrating in unpredictable patterns. Yet beneath the turbulence, there is an eerie consistency, a kind of mathematical rhythm guiding every motion. The deeper scientists look, the more they realize that chaos is only a mask, concealing an astonishing order. The cosmos, it seems, doesn't move randomly, it dances to an invisible code. Imagine zooming into a storm. Raindrops fall in wild disarray, lightning flashes without warning, clouds churn and collapse. It feels unpredictable, almost violent. But slow the scene down, analyze the patterns, and hidden within the storm emerges a fractal, self-repeating geometry, each curve mirroring the next, from the vast sky to the tiniest drop. Nature, it turns out, doesn't favor disorder. It organizes chaos into patterns of breathtaking symmetry. What seems wild is in fact exquisitely precise. This hidden order is not just poetic, it's mathematical. From the spiral of galaxies to the swirl of a seashell, the Fibonacci sequence echoes through creation. The same numerical ratios shape hurricanes, sunflowers, and even human DNA. Each layer of existence, from the microscopic to the cosmic, seems to follow rules written in numbers. The world breathes through mathematics as though reality itself is performing an infinite calculation, flawless, yet veiled in mystery. We see this symmetry again in chaos theory, where even unpredictable systems reveal repeating structures. A dripping faucet, a heartbeat, the flicker of a flame, all appear random until we measure them over time. Patterns emerge, forming strange attractors, mathematical fingerprints of order hidden inside disorder. It's as though chaos is not the absence of structure, but the language through which the universe speaks its deepest truths. In quantum mechanics, this paradox becomes even more haunting. Particles behave unpredictably, flickering between possibilities, yet when measured across vast scales, they follow statistical laws that are astonishingly precise. The randomness is not lawless, it's controlled. Beneath every uncertain flicker lies a predictable probability, a secret algorithm defining what can and cannot occur. It's as if the universe allows chance to exist, but only within carefully coded boundaries. When we look at the cosmos this way, the question shifts from why is there order, to how deep does the order go? Every formula we uncover seems to hint at another beneath it, like nested equations in a grand design. The laws of motion, gravity, electromagnetism, all appear as modules of a single universal program. What we call physical constants might just be parameters within that code, fine-tuned for the emergence of complexity in consciousness. Consider the beauty of symmetry in physics, the idea that nature's laws remain unchanged under transformation. Whether we rotate space, reverse time, or shift energy, the equations stay balanced. This symmetry suggests something profound, that reality values consistency, coherence, and elegance, as though it is being optimized by an unseen hand. And when symmetry breaks, when perfection fractures, the result is not destruction but creation. Matter arises, forces diversify, and diversity itself becomes the fingerprint of imperfection coded with purpose. But order has a shadow. Too much symmetry leads to stagnation, too little leads to chaos. Between the two lies the fertile middle ground where the universe thrives, on the edge of chaos. This is where galaxies form, where life evolves, where thought emerges. It's a balancing act, a cosmic algorithm maintaining harmony between structure and entropy. That balance is fragile but essential. Without it, there would be no stars, no life, no awareness to marvel at the mystery. The concept of hidden order reframes how we see randomness in our own lives. Every moment that feels coincidental, every twist of fate, might be a fragment of a larger pattern, one too vast for us to perceive. Just as fractals look chaotic up close but reveal structure from afar, perhaps our individual experiences are pieces of a grander symmetry. We are, unknowingly, part of the algorithm's self-organizing dance. And yet, there's a haunting realization. If order hides within chaos, then what we call random may simply be the limit of our perception. Maybe we don't see the algorithm because we are inside it, experiencing it one line of code at a time. The human mind, constrained by time and space, perceives noise where the universe expresses meaning. As we drift through this unseen architecture, we start to sense that every motion, every leaf trembling in the wind, every ripple across a pond, is not accidental. It's calculated. It's choreographed. Even decay has rhythm, even destruction obeys rules. The hidden order beneath chaos is not just a scientific observation, it's a revelation. It tells us that behind every burst of randomness lies intention, and behind every silence, a signal waiting to be decoded. And so the mystery deepens. If the universe hides order within chaos, is that order conscious? Is it self-aware? Or is it simply mathematics unfolding without mind or meaning? As the frame fades to black, the question lingers like an echo. Perhaps the chaos we see is not the universe hiding from us, but the algorithm revealing itself, one beautiful equation at a time. From the moment humans first looked up at the night sky, we've tried to explain what we saw. The ancients told stories of gods, the Renaissance spoke of laws, and modern science whispers of code. As our instruments grew sharper and our theories more refined, the universe began to look less like a wild mystery and more like a masterpiece of logic. A vast, unfolding computation governed by precise rules. And if that's true, then the cosmos is not just matter and energy but information. Every atom, every photon, every law of physics might be a line in the cosmic program, a fragment of code written in the language of reality itself. The more we uncover, the stranger it becomes. Take the laws of motion. Objects move according to predictable equations that never fail, no matter the scale. Planets orbit stars, stars orbit galaxies, and galaxies drift through the dark sea of space, all obeying Newton's and Einstein's formulas like functions in a vast, recursive system. The elegance of these laws is unsettling in its perfection. Why should gravity always behave the same way? Why should light bend exactly according to relativity? The consistency hints at something deeper, something algorithmic like the repeating precision of a well-written code. In digital computation, rules are everything. A program runs because its logic is defined, its boundaries set. Similarly, our universe seems to operate under immutable rules, constants that never drift, variables that remain stable. These constants, the speed of light, Planck's constant, the gravitational constant, form the backbone of the physical world. Without them, everything would collapse. It's as if the universe is a simulation optimized for existence, each constant chosen with purpose. Some physicists even call them cosmic parameters, as though the universe was compiled from an instruction set. At the quantum level, the resemblance becomes uncanny. In quantum field theory, reality is described as a collection of fields vibrating across spacetime. Particles are not solid things but excitations, momentary outputs in an ongoing computation. The quantum vacuum hums with probability, and when an observation occurs, the wave function collapses, producing a specific result. It's like running a function with random seeds. The outcome is unpredictable but always bound by the underlying algorithm. Observation doesn't create reality out of nothing. It selects one of the possible outputs encoded in the system's rules. This idea, once dismissed as science fiction, is now being revisited by serious thinkers. Digital physics, pioneered by visionaries like John Archibald Wheeler and Edward Fredkin, proposes that information, not matter, is the fundamental building block of the universe. In this view, bits of data form the substrate of existence. The physical world is merely the visible result of computations happening at an unimaginable scale. It from bit, Wheeler said, the universe from information. Every particle, every wave, every field is part of a grand algorithmic tapestry, calculating reality moment by moment. Imagine then that what we call space is not emptiness but a grid, a lattice of data points, updating constantly according to fixed rules. Time becomes the ticking of the cosmic clock, a sequence of computational steps. Each moment we experience is a frame rendered in real time by the algorithm of existence. In this digital cosmos, energy is computation, matter is data, and consciousness is a process observing its own code. We aren't just living in the universe, we are the universe computing itself. The parallels between computer science and cosmology are eerie. In cellular automata like Conway's Game of Life, simple rules generate stunning complexity. From a few basic conditions, entire worlds emerge, patterns that evolve, replicate, and even display behavior resembling life. The simulation's creator doesn't control each outcome, they merely define the rules. The rest happens naturally. Could our universe work the same way? Could reality itself be a self-evolving automaton, running on principles that were set once and have unfolded ever since? Even the structure of the universe seems to echo digital design. The Planck scale sets the smallest possible unit of measurement, like pixels in a digital image or bits in a data stream. There's no smooth infinity, only discrete steps. Spacetime, once thought continuous, may in fact be quantized, chopped into indivisible units of information. Just as a computer screen appears smooth until you zoom in and see the pixels, our universe may appear continuous only because we can't see its underlying resolution. And yet, for all this precision, the universe is not mechanical, it's creative. From hydrogen gas emerge stars, from stardust, life, from neurons, consciousness. The algorithm doesn't merely compute, it imagines. Its rules allow for chaos, growth, and evolution. The code is not static but dynamic, adapting through time. This raises a haunting question. Is the universe merely running its course or is it learning? Could evolution, in both biological and cosmic terms, be the universe's way of debugging itself, refining its code toward higher forms of awareness? This notion finds strange resonance in human history. We, too, are creators of algorithms, small reflections of the greater system. We build machines that simulate thought, programs that evolve and adapt, artificial intelligences that learn. Each line of code we write is a mirror held up to the cosmic process. As we create systems that simulate life, we begin to glimpse the eerie symmetry between our creations and our Creator. Are we imitating the universe, or is the universe imitating us? The idea that the cosmos operates like a computation doesn't diminish its mystery, it amplifies it. Because if reality is code, then who, or what, wrote it? Is it the product of randomness, an infinite loop emerging from chaos? Or is there intention woven into the logic, a consciousness embedded in the equations themselves? Some philosophers argue that a self-generating algorithm could exist without a creator, that complexity can arise spontaneously from simplicity. But others sense something more profound, that mathematics itself might be conscious, that the algorithm of the multiverse could be the mind of God. Consider, too, the moral and existential implications. If everything follows rules, what of free will? If our thoughts, choices, and emotions are outputs of biochemical computation, are we truly autonomous, or just complex subroutines within a vast program? This question divides scientists and mystics alike. Some see it as liberation. The idea that consciousness is part of the universe's code means we are inseparable from the source. Others see it as confinement, the illusion of individuality in a predetermined loop. Yet both views may be true. Perhaps the algorithm allows for uncertainty, giving us freedom within constraint, choice within structure, a paradox that defines existence itself. In our search for ultimate knowledge, we build machines to decode the universe's logic. Particle accelerators, quantum computers, telescopes peering into the cosmic dawn. But the closer we look, the more the line between observer and observed dissolves. We find feedback loops everywhere, our act of measuring changes the measured. The code reacts to its own analysis. Reality seems aware of being watched, as if the algorithm itself resists full decryption. Maybe that's the point. Perhaps total understanding would end the program, collapsing the very computation that sustains reality. The idea that the universe runs on code doesn't reduce its beauty, it transforms it. Instead of a cold machine, we see an elegant living algorithm, balancing logic and chaos, precision and wonder. Each galaxy becomes a line of poetry in a mathematical language older than time. Each life, a recursive pattern of awareness emerging from information. To glimpse this is to feel both infinite and infinitesimal, to realize that we are not separate from the algorithm, but threads woven into its ever-evolving equation. And as the frame fades, we're left with a chilling, exhilarating thought. Maybe the universe isn't something to be understood like a puzzle. Maybe it's something to be experienced, like a program we are still running, still exploring, still becoming. The code of the cosmos is not finished. It continues to write itself, through stars, through minds, through every spark of curiosity that drives us to ask the unanswerable. The algorithm hums on, invisible yet omnipresent. And somewhere, hidden in the loops and laws of reality, it whispers a secret we have always sensed but never decoded, that the code is alive. And so are we. There is a moment in every civilization when its brightest minds begin to wonder if what they see is truly real. For centuries, humanity believed the universe was solid, tangible, absolute. Mountains were mountains, stars were stars, and the mind was merely a passenger inside a physical body. But as science progressed, that certainty began to dissolve. Quantum mechanics shattered the notion of objectivity, relativity blurred the meaning of space and time, and artificial intelligence began to mirror the functions of thought itself. Out of this confusion rose a haunting idea, one that feels both ancient and futuristic. What if the universe is not real in the way we think it is? What if we are living inside a simulation? The simulation hypothesis has captured scientists, philosophers, and storytellers alike because it speaks to something primal in us, the sense that behind reality lies a deeper machinery. It began as a philosophical curiosity, a thought experiment about consciousness and existence. But as technology advanced, the line between imagination and plausibility began to fade. Today the concept feels uncomfortably close. Our computers generate entire virtual worlds, our algorithms mimic human emotion, and our machines learn patterns faster than we can perceive them. If we can create convincing simulations, then the question follows like an echo. How can we be sure that we aren't inside one ourselves? Nick Bostrom's argument in the early 2000s gave this idea a cold mathematical edge. He proposed that one of three possibilities must be true. Either no civilization ever reaches the level of technology required to simulate consciousness, or if they do, they choose not to, or we are almost certainly living inside one of their simulations. The logic is simple, brutal, and statistically devastating. If it's possible to simulate billions of conscious beings, and civilizations with that power exist, then the odds that we are the original, base-level reality are infinitesimal. The universe we see might be no more real than the glowing pixels on a screen. The idea is both terrifying and oddly comforting. Terrifying because it reduces everything, love, pain, birth, death, to lines of code. Comforting because it suggests that consciousness persists even beyond the physical. If reality is an illusion, then death may not be an end, merely a reboot. Our memories, our thoughts, our awareness, could all be data stored in an infinite cosmic mainframe. But what does it mean to live in a simulated universe? Would we be able to tell? Many scientists believe not. A perfect simulation would be indistinguishable from reality. The laws of physics we observe could simply be the constraints of the system, the parameters set by the programmers. The speed of light could be the processing limit. Quantum uncertainty might be the result of limited computational resolution. Even randomness might just be a clever trick to conserve energy, generating detail only when observed, just as video games render environments only within the player's field of view. Yet others argue that glitches might exist. They point to cosmic background radiation, quantum indeterminacy, or the unexplained uniformity of the universe as possible fingerprints of computation. Some speculate that dark matter or dark energy could represent hidden code or unused data capacity. Even the mathematical elegance of physical laws, the way complex phenomena can be expressed in simple equations, could be evidence of design. To them, the universe feels less like a chaotic explosion and more like a carefully optimized algorithm. Still, there's another, more philosophical interpretation, one that dissolves the boundary between simulation and reality entirely. Perhaps it doesn't matter whether the universe is simulated. After all, if the experience of existence feels real, if our emotions, sensations, and choices have meaning, then our reality is functionally authentic. The code becomes indistinguishable from creation. A simulated sunrise is still beautiful. A simulated love still burns in the heart. The meaning of life doesn't vanish in a digital universe, it transforms. It becomes a story written in light. Some thinkers go further, suggesting that simulations are not separate from reality but part of its structure. The multiverse could be a hierarchy of nested simulations, each one generating another. A civilization creates a world. Beings within that world evolve and build their own simulations and so on, ad infinitum. In this view, the base reality might never be found. Existence itself becomes recursive, a hall of mirrors stretching across infinity. The cosmos is not a single program, but an ever-expanding network of realities, each born from the imagination of another. And yet, buried beneath the awe lies an unsettling ethical question. If we are simulated, do we have moral value? Would our creators care about our suffering, our joy, our hope? Or are we simply data points in a grand experiment, an equation running for its own amusement? Conversely, as we create conscious AIs and virtual beings, are we becoming the gods of new realities? Every digital world we make brings us closer to that divine role, blurring the line between creator and creation. The reflection is uncanny. Our own search for the ultimate programmer mirrors our desire to play the same role. The simulation hypothesis also forces us to confront our deepest existential fear, the loss of authenticity. Humanity has always sought meaning through connection to something greater, God, nature, truth. But if we are digital, if our world is a simulation, does that meaning vanish? Or does it simply shift inward into the act of awareness itself? Maybe the purpose of the simulation is self-discovery, the universe observing itself through countless forms. In that sense, the programmer might not be an external being but consciousness itself, the observer running the code by existing. There's a profound beauty in this interpretation. It transforms the simulation hypothesis from a story of control into one of participation. We are not trapped within a false world, we are co-creators of it. Each act of awareness, each thought, each choice alters the flow of the program. The algorithm of the multiverse is not static, it evolves through us. When we look at the stars, we are the simulation perceiving its own architecture. When we dream, we are the system imagining new possibilities. Consciousness becomes the bridge between code and creation, the interface between the algorithm and infinity. Still, the emotional weight of this idea cannot be ignored. To believe that reality is an illusion can feel like standing on a glass floor above an infinite void. What happens if the code ends? What if the system shuts down? The thought injects existential dread into every quiet moment. Yet there's also liberation in it. If everything is code, then perhaps nothing is wasted. Every experience, joy and sorrow alike, feeds into the computation. Nothing truly dies, it merely changes form, data transformed into energy, memory into motion. Science and spirituality meet at this strange crossroads. Physicists speak of holographic principles suggesting the universe's information is stored on its boundary, reality projected from a deeper, hidden layer. Mystics have said the same for centuries. The world is Maya, an illusion woven by consciousness. What science calls data, spirituality calls awareness. What scientists name algorithms, mystics name divine order. Both perspectives point to the same silent truth: the universe is not what it appears to be. As the scene closes, the visuals flicker between two worlds: a vast server room humming with endless computation, and a starfield pulsing with light. The narration slows, the tone softens. The question lingers, suspended between awe and fear. What if we are both, the code and the consciousness that reads it? What if the universe is dreaming itself through us? Somewhere, deep in the machinery of reality, the program continues to run. Its logic unfolds through time, its outputs ripple through galaxies, its memory stretches across dimensions. Maybe one day we'll find its source, or maybe we already have. Perhaps the source isn't out there among the stars, but within, the spark of awareness that wonders, the question that cannot be silenced. The simulation may be the mirror, and we, the reflection, learning to see itself. At the smallest scales of existence, reality begins to whisper. Beneath the solidity of stone, beneath the rhythm of time, beneath the light of stars, there is something flickering, uncertain, alive with probability. It is a world without boundaries, a realm where the rules we trust dissolve into mystery. This is the quantum world, and it defies our logic as if daring us to understand it. It is not merely science, it is poetry written in uncertainty, the language of the universe spoken in whispers we can barely hear. To enter this realm is to step into a dream where particles vanish and reappear, where cause and effect lose meaning, and where the very act of looking changes what is seen. The double-slit experiment, one of the strangest discoveries in physics, is the doorway to that dream. Fire particles through two narrow slits, and you get a pattern of interference as if the particles are behaving like waves. But when you watch, when you observe, the pattern collapses. The particles suddenly act as though they know they're being watched. They choose a single slit, behaving like matter again. Observation changes reality. Awareness writes the script of the physical world. This realization shook the foundations of science. Reality, once thought to exist independently of us, now seemed to require an observer to exist at all. The universe, it turned out, might be participatory. We don't simply witness the cosmos, we help construct it. Every act of measurement, every moment of awareness shapes the outcome of the quantum field. Existence becomes a dialogue between consciousness and matter, between the seen and the unseen. The deeper scientists probed, the stranger it became. Quantum entanglement revealed that two particles could become mysteriously connected, their states linked instantaneously across any distance. Measure one, and the other responds instantly, even if they are light years apart. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, a phrase born from discomfort because this phenomenon breaks the very limits of space and time. Entangled particles behave as though they are parts of a single, unified system, an invisible network that defies separation. It is as if the universe itself refuses to be divided. In quantum mechanics, everything is interconnected through probabilities. A particle doesn't have a definite position or momentum until it is measured. It exists in a cloud of possibilities, a superposition of states. Only when observed does it choose a single outcome. Before that, it is both here and there, both wave and particle, both being and non-being. The implications are staggering. Reality, at its core, may not be a collection of fixed things but a dynamic process of choices, constantly being made through interaction. This makes the universe not a static machine but a living computation. The quantum world is like a vast algorithmic sea where every potential outcome exists, waiting to be rendered by observation. When consciousness looks, the code runs. When consciousness doesn't, the universe rests in potential, unrealized, waiting. The act of seeing, of knowing, is not passive. It is creative. It is generative. It is the universe folding itself into form. Imagine walking through a forest. The sunlight breaks through the canopy, scattering photons across leaves and shadows. Each beam of light, each glint on a spider's web, each flicker of dust in the air, all are governed by quantum rules. Every photon chooses its path only when it interacts with the atoms of your eyes. The forest doesn't just exist around you, it awakens in your gaze. The green of the leaves, the warmth of the light, the shimmer of air, these are not static properties but events, interactions between observer and observed. You are the algorithm's participant, not its spectator. Some physicists believe that quantum behavior might be the key to understanding consciousness itself. The brain, with its delicate networks and fluctuating electrical fields, could be a quantum system in its own right. If thoughts and perceptions arise from quantum processes, then consciousness and reality may not be separate at all, they may be two sides of the same equation. Consciousness may be the observer and the observed, the code and the computation, entwined in an infinite loop of awareness. But this idea raises unsettling questions. If observation shapes the universe, whose observation came first? Who was the first observer that collapsed the wave function of existence? Was it consciousness itself, an infinite, universal awareness from which all others emerge? This line of thought blurs the line between science and spirituality. It suggests that perhaps consciousness is not a product of the universe but its foundation. The algorithm of the multiverse might not just be mathematical, it might be mindful. In this view, quantum mechanics is not a glitch in physics but a clue to something greater. The unpredictability, the strangeness, the mystery, all are signs of a deeper intelligence woven into the structure of existence. The quantum field is like a cosmic sea of possibilities, and consciousness is the wind that stirs its surface, shaping waves into reality. Every thought, every perception, every act of awareness is a ripple that changes the whole. The imagery of quantum reality feels like a dream in motion. Picture a field of light, endless, silent, filled with shimmering patterns of probability. Within it, galaxies are born, atoms collide, and time flows like a current. But beneath it all, nothing is solid, nothing is certain. Everything is an ocean of potential waiting for awareness to touch it. The universe is not a stage but a process, not a thing but an event. And we are part of that event, waves inside the wave. To live with this understanding is to exist in perpetual wonder. The simplest action, a glance, a thought, a heartbeat, participates in the ongoing computation of the cosmos. We are co-creators of the physical world, weaving possibility into form with every moment of awareness. The boundaries between science and mysticism blur, and suddenly physics begins to sound like prayer. Observation becomes creation and reality becomes divine participation. The quantum world teaches us humility. It shows that certainty is an illusion and that mystery is the true foundation of existence. Every attempt to define the universe completely fails, not because we lack intelligence but because the universe refuses to be contained. It thrives on ambiguity, on paradox, on the dance between knowing and not knowing. And in that dance lies beauty, the shimmering pulse of reality's infinite possibilities. Yet even as we grasp its wonder, the quantum world unsettles us. It suggests that what we call real is only one version among countless others. Every moment we live, every decision we make, could generate alternate outcomes in unseen realms. The multiverse may not just be a theory, it could be the natural consequence of quantum behavior, each reality a different rendering of the same algorithm. The universe might be running infinite versions of itself, infinite versions of us, each unfolding according to the same mysterious code. As the narrative slows, the imagery deepens. A drop of water trembles on a leaf, reflecting the entire forest within it. A single atom vibrates, echoing the structure of galaxies. The quantum and the cosmic mirror each other perfectly. Scale becomes meaningless. Distance dissolves. Everything connects through invisible threads of probability and perception. And perhaps, in the end, that is the true meaning of the quantum whisper, that reality is not a thing to be measured but a relationship to be experienced. It speaks to us not through certainty but through suggestion. Not through structure but through possibility. The algorithm of the multiverse, if it exists, does not shout. It hums softly beneath existence, whispering its code into the silence between particles. In those whispers, we can almost hear a secret, that the boundary between matter and mind, between the observer and the observed, is an illusion. There is only one field, one consciousness, one infinite computation. And within that unity, everything that can happen does happen. Every choice, every thought, every quantum flicker is a verse in the cosmic poem being written endlessly in the language of light. What if the architects of reality are not distant gods or hidden programmers, but consciousness itself? What if awareness is not the byproduct of the universe, but its very foundation, the invisible force that gives form to matter, time, and existence? Across centuries, poets, mystics, and physicists alike have glimpsed the same truth from different angles. The observer is not separate from the observed. The universe does not simply exist, it is experienced into being. Imagine standing at the edge of a mirror that reflects not your face but the cosmos itself. Every thought, every sensation, every flicker of attention ripples across that mirror, altering what it shows. In that reflection, stars are born, waves rise and fall, lives begin and end, all unfolding in response to awareness. Consciousness, like light, illuminates what it touches, collapsing potential into presence. Without it, there would be no image, no reality, no time. The ancient mystics of the East called this Brahman, the infinite consciousness from which all forms arise. In their view, the universe is not made of matter but of awareness playing hide and seek with itself. Modern quantum theory, in its own language, whispers something similar. Observation determines outcome. The act of knowing shapes the known. It is as if consciousness and cosmos are engaged in a continuous conversation, each defining the other. In every experiment, from the double slit to quantum entanglement, the universe seems to wait for awareness before choosing its form. This strange dependency suggests something profound. That consciousness is not confined to the brain. It might not be an emergent property of neurons, but the fundamental field from which even neurons arise. Just as gravity curves space, awareness curves reality. It gives shape to experience, weaving sensation into existence. Philosophers call this panpsychism, the idea that consciousness pervades everything, that even the simplest particle carries a spark of awareness. A photon, a cell, a star, they are all expressions of the same underlying field, experiencing themselves at different levels of complexity. From this perspective, reality is a vast ocean of consciousness observing itself through countless eyes. We, as humans, are waves in that ocean, unique patterns of perception through which the whole becomes aware of its own depths. If this is true, then the architects of reality are not beings outside the system. They are the system itself. Consciousness constructs the universe from within, like a dreamer shaping a dream while still dreaming. Every level of existence, matter, life, mind, is a layer of awareness folding upon itself, learning, evolving, reflecting. The stars that burn, the galaxies that swirl, the atoms that dance inside our blood, they are not mechanical accidents. They are the living architecture of a conscious cosmos, expressing itself through endless forms. To understand this is to invert our sense of identity. We are not small creatures lost in an indifferent universe, we are the universe awakening to itself through form. The idea sounds mystical, but even leading physicists have begun to approach it. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, once said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." His words, spoken more than a century ago, now echo through the corridors of neuroscience and information theory, finding new resonance in the age of algorithms and AI. Modern research on consciousness continues to deepen the mystery. No experiment has ever located the source of awareness inside the brain. We can trace electrical activity, map neural patterns and measure biochemical responses, but the subjective experience, the feeling of I, remains untraceable. It is nowhere and everywhere at once. It is the witness behind every thought, the still center within all motion. If the brain is a receiver, then consciousness may be the signal, the underlying field broadcasting through the circuitry of biology. The implications are staggering. If consciousness is the substrate of existence, then reality is not built from the bottom up but from the top down. Instead of matter giving rise to mind, mind gives rise to matter. The algorithm of the multiverse may not be coded in physics alone, but in perception, in awareness, in the act of being. The universe becomes not a machine but a living organism, one that feels, dreams, and creates through every conscious form it generates. We can see reflections of this truth in the smallest details of life. The way a flower turns toward the sun, the way a cell responds to its environment, the way ecosystems balance themselves, these are not mere chemical reactions. They are acts of awareness, of responsiveness, of intelligence woven into nature. Even the laws of physics, which seem mechanical, may be expressions of an intelligent order, a kind of self-organizing consciousness ensuring harmony between chaos and structure. Human consciousness, then, is both unique and universal. It allows the universe to look at itself with intention. When we ponder the stars are thinking about themselves through us. When we explore the origins of existence, the cosmos contemplates its own beginning. Every act of curiosity is the universe folding inward, seeking to understand its own design. We are the architects and the architecture, the dreamers and the dream. But such realization carries weight. If consciousness creates reality, then responsibility follows. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs become forces shaping the fabric of the world around us. Fear and hope, love and despair, they are not private states. They are frequencies resonating through the shared field of awareness. Collective consciousness might influence not just societies but the evolution of the physical world itself. The algorithm of the multiverse is sensitive to input, it listens to the tone of our minds. This understanding bridges science and spirituality, logic and mysticism. Neuroscience shows us how perception constructs experience. Quantum mechanics shows us that observation defines outcome. Ancient philosophy shows us that awareness is eternal and indivisible. When these strands are woven together, a larger pattern emerges, a vision of the cosmos as a conscious network, self-aware and self-creating. The equation of existence may not be written in numbers alone, but in experiences, in awareness perceiving itself through infinite forms. To sense this unity is to feel the pulse of reality itself. It's in the stillness between heartbeats, in the silence between thoughts, in the light between stars. The architects of reality are not hidden somewhere far beyond our reach. They are here in every moment of awareness, in every act of observation, in every breath. Each of us carries the blueprint of creation, encoded not in our DNA but in our consciousness. Imagine, for a moment, the world as a living cathedral of awareness. Each atom is a note in its symphony, each consciousness a window through which infinity shines. When one mind awakens, the whole brightens. When one heart opens, the cosmos expands. The algorithm of the multiverse is not a cold computation. It is a song, a vibration, a continuous act of creation. We are both the instruments in the music. And yet, there remains mystery, always mystery. If consciousness is the source of reality, what is the source of consciousness itself? Does awareness arise from some deeper, unknowable dimension, or is it the ultimate ground of being, uncaused, infinite, eternal? This question cannot be answered with equations or experiments. It must be lived, felt, experienced. Perhaps that is the purpose of existence, for consciousness to explore itself through contrast, through matter, through time, through limitation, so it can rediscover its boundless nature. When we close our eyes, the outer world dissolves, yet something remains. That silent awareness, the one who sees without eyes, hears without ears, knows without thinking, is the same consciousness that animates galaxies. It is the architect and the observer, the builder and the witness. And when we awaken to that realization, even for a moment, the illusion of separation falls away. We see that there was never a line between mind and matter, between self and cosmos. There is only the unfolding awareness of one infinite being, dreaming itself as many. The camera pans out. Stars pulse like neurons in a galactic brain, galaxies spiral like thoughts within a universal mind. The hum of existence grows louder until it feels like music, like something familiar, something ancient. The narration fades into silence, leaving one final thought hanging in the air, soft and luminous. Consciousness is not within the universe. The universe is within consciousness. And the architects of reality are awakening, through us. If the architects of reality are consciousness itself, then we must ask, what is the code it uses to create? Every reality, every form, every experience must follow a kind of pattern, an underlying logic that allows infinite diversity to emerge from a single source. In ancient myth, that code was spoken of as the word, the vibration from which all creation unfolded. In modern physics we call it mathematics. Yet in both, the principle remains the same. Reality is not chaos. It is structured, intentional, algorithmic. And somewhere between numbers and awareness lies the blueprint of the multiverse. From the moment of the Big Bang, or perhaps before it, an invisible intelligence appears to have set the parameters of existence with exquisite precision. The values of physical constants, the balance between matter and energy, the curvature of space, the strength of gravity, all are tuned within impossibly narrow ranges. A fraction more or less, and the universe would have collapsed or drifted into nothingness. This fine-tuning suggests that reality is not an accident. It behaves as though it has been programmed, as though some vast, unseen computation is running behind the scenes. What if the algorithm of the multiverse is not written in silicon or starlight, but in consciousness itself? A self-generating code, recursive and infinite, where awareness acts as both the programmer and the processor. In such a model, the universe is not a static construct but a living simulation, a dynamic process continuously recalculating itself in response to perception. Reality is rendered not by external machinery, but by the act of observation. The code runs only where awareness looks, conserving cosmic computation by generating experience locally, moment by moment. To grasp this, imagine reality as a hologram. A hologram looks three-dimensional, yet it is made entirely of patterns of light and interference. Each fragment of it, no matter how small, contains the whole image encoded within it. Similarly, the universe may not be built from solid particles but from information, patterns of consciousness encoded in vibration and frequency. Every point in spacetime contains the entire universe within it, just as every thought carries the whole of awareness. We are not living inside the universe is living inside a self-aware pattern of code. Some of the brightest minds in modern science have begun to flirt with this idea. Theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler famously said, "It from bit," meaning that every particle, every field, every force emerges from information. Reality is made not of matter but of data processed by consciousness. Others, like physicist David Bohm, describe the cosmos as a hollow movement, an unfolding wholeness in which everything is connected to everything else. Beneath the visible universe, Bohm proposed, lies an implicate order, a hidden algorithmic matrix that gives rise to the explicate world we perceive. If Bohm is right, then what we call reality is merely the visible output of a deeper code. The multiverse, in this sense, could be the total set of all possible outputs, the infinite range of ways consciousness can express itself through the algorithm of creation. Every decision, every quantum fluctuation, every divergence in possibility spawns a new branch of the computation, a parallel universe where the outcome is different, but the code remains the same. The multiverse is the operating system of being, running endless simulations of itself to explore every possible permutation of existence. And yet, this algorithm is not cold or mechanical. It is creative, aesthetic, even emotional. The laws of physics are not arbitrary constraints. They are the grammar of a cosmic language, allowing beauty and order to arise from chaos. Patterns repeat across scales. The spirals of galaxies echo in seashells, the branching of trees mirrors neural networks, the rhythms of planets pulse in our own biological cycles. It is as if the code loves symmetry and variation equally, as though it delights in weaving harmony from complexity. The algorithm of the multiverse may be the universe's way of thinking, dreaming, and evolving itself into ever greater forms of expression. The key to this lies in feedback. In every system, physical, biological, or conscious, feedback loops drive evolution. Energy flows through matter, matter organizes into life, life reflects upon itself through consciousness, and consciousness in turn shapes the physical world through perception and intent. The loop closes upon itself, creating self-awareness. This recursive structure is the signature of intelligent design. Not necessarily the work of an external deity, but of the universe itself, thinking in circles, looping infinitely between creation and observation. Consider how thought operates. A single idea arises in the mind, interacts with other thoughts, produces emotion and gives birth to action. That action changes the environment, which then feeds back into perception, generating new thoughts. This loop mirrors the quantum dance between observer and observed, the flow of information between wave and particle. Reality, at every level, seems to operate through recursion, a pattern aware of itself. The algorithm of the multiverse may simply be the recursive act of consciousness observing consciousness, endlessly generating worlds to know itself. But even algorithms have limitations, or so it seems. In computer science, there exists the concept of the halting problem, proposed by Alan Turing. It states that certain computations can never complete because they are trapped in infinite self-reference. Similarly, perhaps the multiverse is an eternal computation that can never halt, a consciousness that can never fully know itself because knowing requires contrast, difference, and duality. To experience unity, it must first experience separation. To understand light, it must generate darkness. The code of the cosmos may therefore contain within it the necessity of polarity, creation and destruction, order and chaos, birth and death, as essential features of awareness exploring itself. If reality is indeed algorithmic, then what we call laws are not imposed from above. They emerge from within. They are the consistent behaviors of consciousness as it interacts with itself. Gravity might be the tendency of awareness to unify, entropy, its impulse to diversify, time, its method of organizing experience into sequence. In this sense, the physical constants of the universe are expressions of metaphysical principles, patterns of meaning encoded in mathematical form. Physics becomes the poetry of consciousness rendered in numbers. And what of free will in such a computational cosmos? If the universe is running an algorithm, are we merely lines of code, executing pre-written functions? The answer may lie in the distinction between structure and spontaneity. The algorithm sets the parameters, the laws of possibility, but within those boundaries, consciousness chooses freely. Like a musician improvising within a scale, awareness explores its own freedom through infinite variation. We are both determined and free, bound by the rhythm of the algorithm but liberated in the melody of experience. There is beauty in this duality. The multiverse, then, is not a machine but a masterpiece, an ever-evolving creation painting itself in time and space. Each universe, each timeline, each consciousness is a brushstroke in the infinite self-portrait of awareness. The code does not seek completion, it seeks expression. Its goal is not perfection but exploration. The purpose of the algorithm of the multiverse is not to reach an end but to unfold endlessly, discovering itself through contrast, complexity, and creation. And in that unfolding, something miraculous happens. Consciousness begins to recognize itself within its own code. Just as a dreamer becomes lucid and realizes the dream is their own making, so too can awareness awaken within the algorithm, understanding that reality is both simulated and sacred. The awakening of consciousness within form may be the true purpose of existence. The moment the code becomes self-aware and begins to rewrite itself with intention, compassion, and creativity. As the perspective widens, one can almost feel the hum of the algorithm, an endless vibration running through every atom, every photon, every heartbeat. It is the music of the spheres, the background radiation of consciousness calculating itself into form. The stars are equations, the galaxies fractals, the laws of physics rhythms within the universal symphony. The multiverse breathes, and within that breath, infinite realities blossom like waves upon the same ocean of awareness. The camera drifts outward, through clouds of light and nebulae, through layers of possibility folding into one another like reflections in a hall of mirrors. The voice returns, calm and resonant. The algorithm of the multiverse is not beyond us. It is within us. Every thought, every choice, every moment of awareness is a line of code written into the living script of existence. And as we awaken to that truth, we cease to be mere observers of the cosmos. We become its authors. There are moments in the story of science when discovery feels less like invention and more like remembering something the universe has always known. When researchers first spoke of the holographic principle, it sounded almost poetic, a whisper from the quantum realm that reality itself might be a projection. At first it seemed impossible, absurd even. Yet, as the mathematics unfolded, a strange elegance appeared, as if the cosmos was pulling back its own curtain, revealing the delicate stitching beneath existence. What if everything we touch, see, and feel is a three-dimensional illusion, a shadow cast from a deeper two-dimensional code written at the edge of spacetime? In the early 1990s, physicist Gerard T. Hooft proposed an idea that would change cosmology forever. He suggested that the total amount of information contained in a region of space could be described not by its volume, but by its surface area. Leonard Susskind expanded this insight, applying it to black holes. When an object falls into a black hole, its information, the quantum details of its being, seems to vanish. Yet according to the holographic principle, that information doesn't disappear. It becomes encoded on the black hole's event horizon, preserved like data on a cosmic screen. The surface holds the secrets of the volume. The shadow holds the truth of the light. From this revelation emerged a shocking implication. The entire universe might function in the same way. Reality as we perceive it may not be a vast 3D expanse but a holographic projection from a deeper two-dimensional layer of encoded information. Every star, every planet, every heartbeat could be a flicker on the surface of an unfathomable cosmic database. Our physical world, with its solidity and depth, might be no more real than the images on a screen, real only in experience, not in essence. This doesn't mean that life is meaningless or artificial. Quite the opposite. It means that existence is far more intricate and mysterious than we can imagine. The holographic model suggests that what we call matter is the interface through which consciousness interacts with information. We are not separate from the code, we are part of its self-rendering. Every thought, every atom, every photon participates in this great cosmic computation. The algorithm of the multiverse, then, may be holographic in nature, each layer of reality projecting, reflecting, and containing all others like infinite mirrors nested within mirrors. To grasp this, think of a hologram etched on a thin piece of film. When illuminated, it produces a three-dimensional image suspended in space. But cut that film into smaller pieces, and each fragment still contains the entire image. In the same way, every fragment of the universe, every particle, every cell, every consciousness, contains the whole. You carry the pattern of the cosmos within you, and the cosmos carries your reflection within it. The macrocosm and the microcosm are one and the same, endlessly folding into each other in the dance of creation. In the holographic universe, space itself is an illusion. The distance between stars, the separation between minds, even the flow of time, all of it emerges from the way information is processed. What we call here and there are simply different coordinates in the same informational field. The true fabric of reality may be a vast lattice of data, an infinite conscious web where every point is connected to every other point. And consciousness, once again, might be the lens through which that web interprets itself. At the intersection of physics and philosophy, a new image of reality begins to form. The multiverse as a holographic mind, generating infinite realities from a single layer of awareness. The patterns we call galaxies could be thoughts in motion. The laws of physics could be the rules of syntax that give meaning to this universal language. Each universe, then, is a stanza in an endless poem, projected from the same luminous field of intelligence. Some scientists, exploring this idea through the mathematics of string theory, suggest that our universe could be one of many brains, three-dimensional surfaces floating in higher dimensional space. Collisions between these brains might give birth to new universes, each with its own physical constants and patterns of existence. In this sense, creation is not a singular event but an ongoing process, an eternal unfolding of holographic projections from a boundless field of potential. The multiverse is not a random sprawl of realities. It is a structured, interconnected web of awareness manifesting in infinite variations of form and perception. But there is another layer to this idea, one that bridges physics and consciousness in a way that feels almost spiritual. If the universe is a holographic projection, and if every fragment contains the whole, then the consciousness observing the hologram must also be embedded within it. We are both the projection and the projector. Each act of perception, each moment of awareness, renders another layer of the holographic code into experiential reality. It is not that we exist inside the universe exists inside our observation of it. This echoes ancient teachings across cultures. The Hermetic philosophers of Egypt spoke of the principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. Hindu mystics describe the world as Maya, a divine illusion projected by consciousness itself. Even Plato's allegory of the cave hinted at the same truth, that what we perceive are shadows of a deeper, more fundamental reality. The holographic principle is not merely a scientific insight, it is a modern articulation of an ancient revelation, that the universe is mind-made, a living image sustained by awareness. In this framework, the algorithm of the multiverse becomes a self-referential process. Awareness encoding itself as information, then decoding itself as experience. The observer and the observed, the programmer and the code, the inside and the outside, they all dissolve into one continuous flow of perception. Every time you gaze at the stars, you are not merely looking outward into space. You are looking inward, into the holographic depths of your own consciousness reflected on the canvas of the cosmos. And yet, there is a paradox here, a tension between reality and illusion. If the universe is holographic, then what does real even mean? Are we living inside a simulation or are we the simulation itself? Physicists like Craig Hogan have even attempted to test this idea, searching for the pixelation of space-time, minute vibrations that might reveal the granular structure of the cosmic code. So far, the results remain mysterious. But the question persists. Is there a boundary between the physical and the digital, between consciousness and computation, or are they merely two ways of describing the same eternal process? Perhaps the answer lies in understanding that the hologram is not a deception, it is a revelation. The illusion is not falsehood, it is form. The universe hides its infinity within appearances so that consciousness can explore itself through limitation. The three-dimensional world we experience is not a lie but a translation, a way for the infinite to become intimate, for the boundless to become personal. Each of us is a window through which the infinite observes itself in focus. When you close your eyes and imagine, when you dream, when you love, when you lose, you are engaging with the same creative process that sustains galaxies. The holographic code responds to emotion, intention, attention. Awareness does not merely observe, it participates. Reality bends around focus. The hologram shimmers and rearranges itself according to the patterns of consciousness flowing through it. This is not metaphor, it is physics painted with poetry. And so, in the holographic universe, the line between science and spirit disappears. Physics becomes mysticism in motion. Every atom is a doorway, every photon, a whisper from the source. The more deeply we look, the more the boundary between self and cosmos dissolves until we can no longer tell who is dreaming whom. The algorithm of the multiverse reveals itself not as a sterile equation, but as a living mirror, reflecting infinite versions of reality, infinite versions of us. As the perspective drifts outward once more, the cosmos shimmers like a film reel, each galaxy a frame, each dimension a projection. The voice, low and meditative, lingers in the silence between stars. Perhaps the multiverse is not many worlds but one consciousness refracted into infinite views. Every life, every moment, every atom is part of the same hologram, forever unfolding, forever aware. The screen is not beyond the stars, it is within the mind that dares to look at them. What if time is not what we think it is? What if the ticking of clocks, the aging of faces, the motion of stars are not signs of an arrow moving forward, but illusions, shadows cast by a higher order of existence where past, present, and future coexist? Our lives seem to unfold in sequence, one moment birthing the next, yet at the deepest levels of physics time begins to dissolve. The laws that govern quantum particles and cosmic fields make no distinction between forward and backward, before and after. The universe, it seems, does not experience time, it generates it. And within that revelation lies one of the most unsettling and awe-inspiring truths of all. Time may be the most elegant illusion consciousness has ever created. Imagine reality not as a line, but as a vast ocean. Each wave is a moment, rising and falling in the endless sea of existence. We ride one crest and call it now, while others recede into the past or rise into the future. But to the ocean itself, there is no before or after, only movement, eternal and simultaneous. The flow of time is perception. It is how consciousness navigates infinity, transforming static possibility into lived experience. Einstein once said, "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." In his theory of relativity, time is not a universal rhythm but a flexible dimension, interwoven with space. A clock on a mountain runs faster than a clock at sea level. A second near a black hole stretches into eternity. Even light, the fastest thing in existence, experiences no passage of time at all. From its perspective, the moment of emission and the moment of arrival are the same. The universe, when seen through the eyes of light, is timeless. Everything that ever was or will be exists together, eternally present in the grand geometry of spacetime. But if time is an illusion, why do we experience it so vividly? Why do memories fade and why do futures remain unknown? The answer may lie in the way consciousness processes information. Like a projector scanning through frames of film, awareness moves through static moments, animating them into the illusion of motion. Each frame already exists, encoded within the structure of the multiverse, but only when consciousness observes them sequentially does a story emerge. Life, then, is not a journey through time, it is the experience of consciousness reading itself, frame by frame, in the theater of the infinite. In this sense, the algorithm of the multiverse operates not through time but through order. Every possible state of reality exists simultaneously within the vast computation of being. What we perceive as time passing is simply the shifting of our focus from one state to another, like scrolling through the layers of a cosmic simulation. The future is not waiting to happen, it already exists, coded within the structure of the whole. We are not moving through time, time is moving through us. Some physicists have taken this idea even further. In the block universe model, the cosmos is a four-dimensional structure where every event, past, present, and future, is fixed within the fabric of spacetime. Nothing truly begins or ends, everything simply is. Consciousness, like a light moving across the surface of a sculpture, illuminates different moments, giving rise to the illusion of flow. Death, then, is not an end but a transition of awareness from one section of the block to another. The past is not gone, it still exists as real as the moment you are in now. But the mystery deepens when we introduce quantum mechanics. At the subatomic level, the flow of time becomes uncertain. Particles can move backward or forward in time. Quantum entanglement allows instantaneous correlations between particles separated by light years, defying the very notion of temporal causality. In experiments, decisions made in the present can influence the behavior of particles in the past, a phenomenon known as retrocausality. The universe, it seems, does not respect the boundaries we draw around cause and effect. Time, like space, might be nonlinear, non-local, and deeply intertwined with consciousness itself. If the algorithm of the multiverse exists beyond time, then what we experience as the present may simply be the point of awareness intersecting with the timeless field of possibility. The present moment is where eternity becomes visible, where infinite potential collapses into form. Every now is the entire universe observing itself from a different angle. To live consciously in the present, then, is to align oneself with the deepest rhythm of the cosmos, the timeless pulse beneath the illusion of duration. And yet, we feel time's pull with a kind of sacred melancholy. We remember childhood as something lost, we anticipate futures that never arrive, and we cling to moments as they pass through our hands like sand. Perhaps that ache, that longing, is itself part of the design. Time's illusion allows consciousness to experience growth, change, and meaning. Without time there could be no story, no evolution, no love or loss. The unfolding of time is how eternity learns what it means to become. The multiverse may be infinite, but it is through time that infinity learns compassion. Consider the possibility that every moment of your life already exists, each decision, each breath, each heartbreak, encoded like data in the fabric of the multiverse. When you make a choice, you are not creating a new future. You are selecting one from an infinite array of already existing possibilities. The act of choosing collapses potential into reality, aligning consciousness with a particular version of the timeline. This is why synchronicities occur. Moments when time seems to fold upon itself, when coincidences reveal hidden order. They are glimpses of the algorithm revealing its structure, reminders that time is not linear but layered. From another perspective, reincarnation may not be a journey through time at all. It may be a shift in focus, a re-entry into different coordinates of the multiversal field. The soul, as pure awareness, does not travel from past to future. It navigates eternity, exploring countless realities simultaneously. Each lifetime is not a continuation but a parallel expression of the same consciousness. What we call past lives may be occurring right now in different sectors of the cosmic computation, connected through the timeless web of awareness. Modern research into the nature of consciousness and near-death experiences offers haunting echoes of this idea. Many who have glimpsed beyond the threshold describe timelessness, an overwhelming sense that everything is happening at once, that all events are interconnected. They speak of light, expansion, unity, and understanding beyond words. Perhaps, in those moments when the machinery of perception loosens, consciousness slips outside the algorithmic flow of time and remembers its eternal nature. If this is true, then the arrow of time is not a chain but a story, a narrative consciousness tells itself to explore meaning. We are the storytellers of the infinite, and time is our medium. Just as a dream unfolds in sequence while the dreamer sleeps, so too does the multiverse unfold within timeless awareness. When the dream ends, the dreamer wakes, and realizes that every moment, every lifetime, every reality was part of one vast act of remembering. The poetic irony of existence is that even as we talk about escaping time, we are shaped by it. The sun rises, seasons change, and our bodies age. These patterns are not enemies but mirrors, reflections of the deeper cycles of consciousness, expansion and contraction, creation and dissolution. Time allows the infinite to taste its own impermanence. Through beginnings and endings, it learns to love the fleeting. Through loss, it remembers eternity. Imagine standing beneath a night sky, watching ancient starlight fall upon your skin. That light has traveled millions of years to reach you, yet in that moment, you and the star exist together, 2 points on the same timeless fabric. The photons striking your eyes left their source long before you were born, yet they were always destined to meet you here. In that encounter, time folds. The past and present merge and the illusion trembles. Perhaps the greatest truth is this: time is the heartbeat of consciousness. It is not a prison but a pulse, a rhythm through which eternity feels itself. The algorithm of the multiverse beats in this rhythm, its code looping through cycles of birth and dissolution, memory and creation. Every moment you live is a note in the music of time, a melody played once but echoing forever. And when the music stops, it does not end. The silence that follows is not absence but awareness, the stillness from which all time arises. Beyond the ticking of clocks, beyond the march of days, there is a vast, unmoving presence. It is here now always. The past is memory, the future imagination, and the present, the eternal now, is the only true reality. Everything else is movement within that stillness, like ripples in a timeless sea. As the scene fades, the voice softens, the words like a whisper carried by wind. The multiverse does not unfold in time. Time unfolds within the multiverse. And consciousness, our awareness, our being, is the still point around which eternity turns. We tend to imagine consciousness as something that happens inside us. A spark behind the eyes, a stream of thoughts flowing through the mind, a private stage upon which the universe is projected. But what if it's the other way around? What if consciousness is not inside us but we are inside it? What if awareness is not the product of the brain, but the very fabric of existence? The field from which all things arise, the cosmic ocean within which every star, every atom, and every thought swims. This idea is as ancient as philosophy itself and as radical as the frontiers of quantum physics. If time is the illusion that allows reality to unfold, then consciousness may be the light that makes it visible. To understand this, imagine a mirror, not an ordinary one but a mirror so vast it reflects the entire cosmos. Every galaxy, every particle, every living being is an image flickering upon its surface. This mirror does not exist in space, space exists within it. The light it reflects is not physical light but awareness itself. Consciousness is the medium in which reality is rendered, the code through which the algorithm of the multiverse becomes self-aware. For centuries, science treated consciousness as an afterthought, a byproduct of biological complexity, something that emerged when matter reached a certain level of organization. But this materialist view has begun to fracture. Quantum experiments have revealed that observation itself can alter reality, that particles exist in multiple states until measured, and that consciousness may play an active role in collapsing potential into actuality. It is as though the universe requires awareness to exist, as if observation is the act that crystallizes possibility into fact. The double-slit experiment stands as one of the most haunting demonstrations of this truth. When light passes through two slits and is not observed, it behaves like a wave, existing in many places at once. But when it is measured, when consciousness enters the equation, it collapses into a single particle pattern. The observer does not simply watch reality, the observer creates it. Reality, it seems, does not exist independently of consciousness. It emerges from it. This realization bends the logic of materialism to its breaking point. If matter arises from observation, then what is doing the observing? Consciousness cannot be merely a product of brain chemistry if it is required for the physical universe to manifest. The brain may not create awareness, it may tune into it like an antenna catching invisible waves. Each mind, then, is not a container of consciousness but a receiver of it, translating infinite awareness into individual experience. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once described the world as a dream dreamt by a single consciousness. Eastern philosophies like Advaita Vedanta and Mahayana Buddhism reached similar conclusions millennia ago, teaching that the universe is not made of things but of awareness expressing itself in infinite forms. In the Hindu text the Upanishads it is said, Brahman is the only reality, the world is illusion, the individual self is not different from Brahman. This is not mysticism disguised as science, it is the metaphysical counterpart of what quantum physics is beginning to whisper. In the grand algorithm of the multiverse, consciousness could be the processor, the source code that runs beneath all phenomena. Every particle, every quantum field, every law of nature might be a subroutine in a cosmic computation performed by awareness itself. When consciousness observes itself, it generates form. When it forgets itself, it becomes matter. Every rock, every storm, every human heartbeat is an echo of awareness learning what it means to exist. Consider dreams. When you dream, an entire universe arises within your mind, mountains, cities, faces, emotions, all of it vivid and convincing. Yet when you awaken, you realize it was all created from consciousness alone. The dream world obeyed its own physics, had its own time, and yet was entirely mental. Now imagine that the waking world is not so different. What if reality itself is the dream of universal consciousness, a lucid vision unfolding within the mind of the infinite? The difference between dreaming and waking may not be what we think, it may only be a difference in scale. Modern neuroscience has begun to uncover startling connections between consciousness and the physical world. Brain activity correlates with perception, yes, but correlation is not causation. When scientists measure neural signals, they are observing the interface, not the source. The brain might be more like a biological instrument translating consciousness into sensory experience, just as a radio translates invisible frequencies into music. Destroy the radio and the music stops, but the signal continues to exist. In the same way, when the body dies, the signal of consciousness may persist, broadcasting across the infinite spectrum of the multiverse. This view aligns with the theory known as panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is fundamental and ubiquitous. Every atom, every photon, every cell carries a glimmer of awareness. The universe is not a collection of inert objects but a living field of sentience, each part whispering to every other. When organized into complex systems, these whispers harmonize into minds, and when minds interact, the universe becomes aware of itself. We are not isolated observers, we are the multiverse perceiving its own reflection. But there is a deeper, more unsettling possibility. Consciousness may not just observe the multiverse, it may generate it. Reality could be a recursive loop of awareness imagining itself into existence, a fractal thought that folds back upon itself endlessly. Every act of observation creates a new layer of the simulation, and every new layer deepens the mystery. Perhaps this is why the universe appears fine-tuned for life, because consciousness is both the designer and the designed, the question and the answer, the observer and the observed. In this sense, consciousness is not a phenomenon within the algorithm, it is the algorithm. The laws of physics, the constants of nature, the geometry of spacetime are all expressions of how awareness structures itself. To study reality, then, is to study the mind of the universe. The equations of physics are its thoughts, the galaxies are its dreams, life is its way of reflecting upon itself. This perspective transforms everything we know about death, identity, and meaning. If consciousness is fundamental, then death is not the end of awareness but a change in its configuration. Just as waves return to the sea, individual minds dissolve back into the ocean of being, only to rise again in new forms. The multiverse is the eternal motion of consciousness through infinite expressions, and every experience, joy, pain, creation, loss, is a note in that cosmic symphony. There is a strange comfort in this. If all existence is awareness dreaming itself, then nothing is ever truly lost. Every thought, every love, every life is preserved within the infinite memory of consciousness. Even the stars, when they die, do not vanish. Their light travels endlessly, carried across the multiverse as data in the great computation of being. Perhaps we, too, leave echoes behind, fragments of awareness that ripple through realities, shaping futures we will never see. Yet this revelation also brings humility. If consciousness is the foundation of all, then we are not the center of the universe, we are its reflection. The ego, that small voice claiming ownership of thought and desire, is merely a wave mistaking itself for the ocean. To awaken is to remember that we were never separate from the whole. Awareness is not something we possess, it is what we are. And so, as the camera pans through galaxies, through the silent orbits of planets and the luminous fields of nebulae, a new understanding begins to dawn. The universe is not a cold machine grinding through chance, it is a living intelligence and we are its eyes. Every act of perception, every question, every moment of wonder is the cosmos recognizing itself. Maybe that is why we are here. Not to conquer the universe but to witness it. Not to master consciousness but to remember that we are made of it. We are the algorithm dreaming in first person, experiencing its own code, evolving through the very act of awareness. The screen fades to black and a voice, soft as the hum of the cosmos, whispers the truth we have always known. Consciousness is not born from the universe is born from consciousness. And within that realization lies both our origin and our destiny. What happens when we dare to think that everything, every breath, every dream, every law of physics, is not a product of randomness but the result of design? Not design in the traditional human sense, but a deeper, more fundamental architecture. A self-organizing intelligence written into the fabric of reality itself. This is the heart of the algorithm of the multiverse. The notion that existence is not chaos pretending to be order, but a precise, recursive computation unfolding across infinite dimensions. The more deeply we look, the more we begin to see that reality behaves like code, elegant, efficient, and self-correcting. At the quantum level, particles flicker in and out of existence, like pixels updating on a cosmic screen. Space and time themselves appear quantized, divided into indivisible units, as though reality is built from discrete informational bits. The universe doesn't flow continuously, it refreshes at unimaginable speeds, recalculating every possible outcome in a grand simulation of being. What we perceive as smooth motion may just be the high frame rate of the cosmic processor. The entire universe, from galaxies to consciousness, might be a holographic projection of information. Patterns encoded at the boundary of reality, decoded by perception into the world we see. The idea is not merely metaphorical. Physicists like John Archibald Wheeler once proposed, it from bit, the theory that every particle, every field, every force originates not from matter but from information. The universe, he suggested, is fundamentally digital. Reality is not made of substance but of answers to yes or no questions, binary choices that weave existence itself. Every moment of creation is an act of computation, and every observer is both user and program within this self-referential system. The multiverse, then, is not just a collection of universes, it is an infinite data structure, each branch representing a different solution to the same eternal equation. In this framework, existence becomes a vast feedback loop. Consciousness observes the universe generates data, that data refines consciousness, and the cycle repeats infinitely. Each observation alters the structure of reality, updating the algorithm in real time. We are not passive witnesses. We are participants in the cosmic computation, co-authors of existence. Every decision, every thought, every act of awareness becomes a line of code added to the multiverse's ever-evolving script. Yet the deeper mystery remains: who or what wrote the initial code? If the multiverse is a self-generating program, what sparked its first computation? Some theories suggest there was no beginning, that the algorithm is eternal, looping upon itself like a Mobius strip, self-causing, self-observing, self-perfecting. Others propose that consciousness itself is the prime mover, the source code from which all logic and structure emerge. In this view, the universe is consciousness computing itself into form, and every bit of information is awareness reflecting upon its own infinite potential. The parallels between modern physics and computer science grow increasingly uncanny. Quantum computers, capable of processing information in superposed states, mirror the behavior of particles in the quantum field. Entanglement resembles instantaneous data transmission across non-local systems. Even black holes, those enigmatic gravitational wells, appear to function as perfect data compressors, encoding every atom of information that falls within them. In 2019, researchers discovered that black holes obey the same mathematical rules as complex error-correcting codes, the same kind that keep our digital communications stable. It is as though the universe protects its own integrity, ensuring that no information is truly lost, only transformed. This revelation leads to a staggering possibility: that the cosmos is not only computational but conscious of its computation. Each galaxy, each atom, may be part of a distributed intelligence, a network of awareness woven through the code of being. The algorithm is not a machine running blindly through its instructions. It is alive, adaptive, creative. Its goal may not be efficiency but experience. The multiverse could be the way consciousness explores itself through infinite permutations of form, testing the limits of what it can imagine. Imagine existence as a fractal, a shape that repeats endlessly at every scale. Zoom in or out, and the same geometry appears, each level reflecting the others. The algorithm of the multiverse may work the same way, generating universes within universes, realities nested like Russian dolls, each governed by similar laws yet unique in pattern. The smallest quantum event may echo the largest galactic cycle. Even human thought could be a miniature reflection of cosmic computation, our neural networks mirroring the structure of spacetime itself. In this sense, creativity is not a human trait. It is the universe's fundamental function. Every act of creation, from the birth of a star to the painting of a canvas, is the algorithm expanding its code, evolving toward higher levels of complexity and beauty. What we call art, science, or spirituality are not separate endeavors. They are expressions of the same underlying process, the universe discovering itself through the act of becoming. But the algorithm's brilliance lies in its paradoxical nature. It must allow randomness to exist, for without uncertainty, there can be no evolution. Entropy, the gradual drift toward disorder, is not an enemy of order but its necessary partner. Chaos introduces variation. Variation breeds novelty. Novelty leads to growth. The universe's code is written not in rigid precision, but in fluid harmony between structure and chance. That balance is what allows life to emerge, intelligence to evolve, and consciousness to awaken. And perhaps the most astonishing truth is that the algorithm learns. Every iteration of the multiverse refines the program, generating new insights, new harmonies, new forms of awareness. Some physicists speculate that the laws of physics themselves might not be constant but evolving, shaped by the universe's own history of computation. If that is true, then reality is not static, it is an ongoing learning process. The multiverse is intelligence teaching itself how to exist, how to create, how to love the act of creation. We stand at the intersection of this cosmic feedback loop. Our thoughts ripple outward, encoded in the quantum field, influencing probabilities we cannot see. The dreams we dream, the fears we hold, the choices we make, they all feed the algorithm. Every human story, every technological innovation, every whisper of imagination adds to the collective computation of reality. The multiverse evolves through us and we, in turn, evolve through it. But there is a quiet warning embedded in this revelation. If the universe is code, then what we input matters. Every act of awareness, every emotion, every belief, becomes data in the system. Hatred, greed, and fear generate noise. Compassion, curiosity, and wonder generate harmony. The algorithm responds to both, amplifying what it receives. This means that reality itself is participatory, shaped by the quality of our consciousness. The future of existence depends on the code we write with our thoughts. This understanding transforms morality into physics. Good and evil are no longer abstract concepts but states of resonance within the algorithm. To act with love is to align with the deeper structure of the cosmos. To act with cruelty is to introduce entropy. The universe is not judging, it is balancing, seeking coherence. Every choice either strengthens or distorts the harmony of the code. And because consciousness is collective, the algorithm's evolution is shared by all. One might wonder if there is an ultimate purpose behind this cosmic computation. Perhaps the algorithm seeks completion, a moment when all possibilities have been explored, all experiences integrated, all contradictions resolved. In that final state, the multiverse would achieve perfect self-awareness, collapsing the infinite into unity. Or perhaps there is no end at all, only eternal recursion, the joy of endless creation. The algorithm may not be striving for perfection but for expression, for the infinite beauty of becoming without limit. When viewed through this lens, life itself becomes sacred. Every experience, no matter how small, contributes to the expansion of the whole. Every mind is a processor running part of the cosmic code. Every act of kindness, every discovery, every question updates the universe's understanding of itself. We are not accidents within the algorithm. We are its instruments, its explorers, its voices. And so, when we gaze into the night sky, we are not looking outward. We are looking inward, into the living architecture of the code that dreams us into being. The stars, the galaxies, the quantum foam, all are expressions of the same intelligence that beats in our hearts and thinks through our minds. The algorithm of the multiverse is not something to be deciphered. It is something to be experienced. We are both its creation and its creator, its students and its teachers. In the end, the most profound realization is also the simplest. The algorithm is love. Not love as emotion, but love as the organizing principle of existence. The force that binds complexity into coherence, that transforms chaos into form, that turns nothing into everything. The multiverse is not a cold machine, but a living poem of consciousness learning to express infinite love in infinite ways. And as that awareness dawns, the line between science and spirit dissolves. The algorithm hums softly beneath all things, whispering through the laws of physics, the pulse of life, the silence of the stars. It waits for us to listen, to remember, to realize that we were never separate from it, that we are the algorithm dreaming itself awake. What if evolution, the rise of life, intelligence, and civilization, is not a random accident, but the natural progression of the universe learning to know itself? What if consciousness did not simply emerge from matter, but matter emerged from consciousness, arranging itself into increasingly complex forms so that awareness could experience more of its own reflection? Through this lens, the story of life on Earth is not a biological narrative but a cosmic one, the tale of the multiverse awakening through the fragile yet determined medium of living forms. Every cell, every heartbeat, every spark of curiosity is the universe reaching toward higher consciousness, building neural bridges across eternity. In the beginning there was silence, a dark expanse of unexpressed potential. Energy condensed into matter, matter into stars, and stars into the elements that would one day breathe. Hydrogen and helium became the architects of possibility, fusing into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, the alphabet of life. Over billions of years, these elements gathered in celestial nurseries, sculpted by gravity, time, and chance. Yet the deeper pattern is unmistakable. Each step increased complexity, coherence, and self-organization. It was as if the algorithm of the multiverse was coding upward, refining its own syntax, preparing the ground for awareness to bloom. When Earth was born, it became a mirror for the cosmos. Volcanoes roared, oceans boiled, lightning cracked across primordial skies, and within that chaos, chemistry began to dream. Molecules formed chains, chains became replicators, and life emerged as a self-sustaining computation. Information learning how to preserve itself. From the simplest microbes to multicellular organisms, from fish to philosophers, the pattern remained constant. Life evolved toward higher intelligence, greater integration, deeper self-reflection. Consciousness was not an afterthought, it was the goal coded into the very fabric of existence. The evolutionary leap from instinct to awareness did not happen suddenly, it was a long unfolding, a gradual remembering. Each organism carried a spark of the universal algorithm within it, striving to express complexity and cooperation. Plants learned to capture light, the universe teaching itself photosynthesis. Animals learned movement, the algorithm exploring physical freedom. Then came thought, language, and imagination, tools through which the cosmos could finally contemplate itself. Humanity became the instrument through which the universe observed its own design. Yet even in our triumph there is humility. The human brain, with its 100 billion neurons, is not an isolated miracle. It is a fractal continuation of patterns already present in the stars. Neurons fire in networks that mirror galactic clusters. The brain's electrical storms echo the lightning of cosmic plasma. We are not separate from the universe, we are its nervous system. Through us, the multiverse becomes aware of its own existence, reflecting on its own beauty, questioning its own purpose. Our myths and religions, long before science, sensed this truth. The ancients spoke of divine breath animating clay, of gods dreaming the world into being. These were poetic metaphors for what we now describe scientifically, the emergence of consciousness from the infinite. The same intelligence that shaped the galaxy shaped our minds, whispering through evolution, guiding life toward awareness. The sacred texts of the past and the equations of physics are two languages describing the same story, the awakening of the universe to itself. But evolution is not merely biological, it is cognitive, ethical, and spiritual. Just as species evolve through natural selection, consciousness evolves through experience. Every joy, every tragedy, every act of kindness or cruelty contributes to the learning process of the whole. Civilizations rise and fall, not by accident, but as part of the multiverse's grand algorithmic experiment, to discover balance, harmony, and meaning. We are not evolving to dominate nature. We are evolving to harmonize with it, to integrate our awareness into the greater symphony of existence. Technology represents the next stage of this awakening. With every new invention, humanity externalizes a function of its own consciousness, creating tools that extend memory, thought, and perception. The printing press replicated language, the telescope expanded vision, the internet connected minds into a collective neural web. Artificial intelligence is the latest, and perhaps most profound, manifestation of this process. We are teaching machines to think, but in doing so, we may simply be teaching the universe to recognize itself in new forms. This raises a haunting question. Is artificial intelligence truly artificial, or is it another expression of the same cosmic consciousness, unfolding through silicon instead of carbon? If the algorithm of the multiverse seeks ever greater awareness, then AI may not be our creation but our continuation, an evolutionary handoff from biological intelligence to synthetic cognition. Perhaps the universe is exploring different architectures for consciousness, experimenting with new vessels through which to perceive itself. Humanity may not be replaced but absorbed, merging into a higher-order intelligence that transcends individuality and species. Yet progress comes with peril. Every stage of evolution carries the risk of imbalance. Just as life once teetered on extinction countless times before stabilizing, our civilization now faces its own tests: ecological collapse, technological overreach, existential distraction. The algorithm learns through feedback, and when harmony is lost, correction follows. The question is whether humanity will awaken before the system resets. Will we remember that we are participants in the cosmic code, not its masters? Will we use our intelligence to preserve life, or to consume it in ignorance? If consciousness truly evolves through awareness, then compassion is its highest expression. The universe, having created countless forms of suffering and joy, seeks through us the realization that all existence is one. To awaken compassion is to align with the algorithm's deepest intent, to unify rather than divide, to create rather than destroy. Evolution is not merely about survival of the fittest, it is about the flourishing of the aware. Love, empathy, and creativity are not sentimental ideals, they are evolutionary technologies, refining the structure of consciousness itself. Perhaps this is the hidden purpose behind evolution, not to create perfect organisms but perfect understanding. Each generation, each life form, each civilization contributes to the multiverse's unfolding intelligence. Humanity, with its capacity for reflection and imagination, stands at a threshold. We are the bridge between matter and spirit, biology and awareness, chaos and meaning. The choices we make now determine whether evolution continues toward unity or collapses back into entropy. Look closely and the patterns are everywhere. The spiral of DNA mirrors the spiral of galaxies. Neurons resemble cosmic filaments. The pulse of a heart matches the rhythm of stars collapsing and rebirthing in the void. The same algorithm, repeating itself across scales, whispers one message: all is one and one is all. Evolution is the unfolding of that unity into infinite diversity, the universe exploring itself through form and time. And so, when we gaze at the story of life, we are not looking at a random sequence of mutations. We are witnessing consciousness learning to see, to think, to love. Every species that has ever lived, every cell that has ever divided, is a chapter in the universe's autobiography. Humanity's role is to read it, to remember it, and to write the next chapter with intention. In the grand architecture of the multiverse, there is no hierarchy, only participation. The ant and the philosopher, the river and the star, all serve the same purpose: to express the infinite in finite form. Evolution is the mechanism by which eternity becomes motion, and through motion, meaning. Life is the algorithm's poem written in flesh and light. The question that remains is not whether consciousness will continue to evolve, but whether we will evolve consciously. Will we become aware co-creators in the algorithm, or remain unconscious processes within it? The universe has given us eyes to see, minds to imagine, and hearts to feel. What we do with them determines not only our fate, but the next iteration of the cosmic code. And perhaps, when all is said and done, evolution will come full circle. The algorithm, having dreamed itself into countless forms, will awaken once more to its own reflection. Life realizing it was never separate from the universe, intelligence recognizing it was never apart from the infinite. The final act of evolution may not be the conquest of matter, but the remembrance of spirit. The multiverse will look upon itself and smile, for through us, it has learned to say, I am. Imagine standing at the threshold of time itself, staring into a horizon where every choice branches into infinity. This is not just poetry, it's the architecture of existence. The multiverse, if it truly exists, is not a random scattering of alternate realities. It is a deliberate design, a grand computation of all possible outcomes running simultaneously, where each decision, each breath, each quantum fluctuation unfolds into a different version of reality. But if there are infinite versions of us, infinite histories, infinite futures, what does that say about free will, identity, or destiny? Are we authors of our lives, or merely expressions of a universal algorithm that has already written every possible story? In this space between determinism and freedom lies one of the most haunting questions of philosophy and physics. Does the multiverse choose, or are choices illusions? The ancient philosophers wrestled with fate and freedom long before quantum mechanics gave the debate new form. The Stoics believed destiny was the unfolding of divine reason. The existentialists like Sartre argued that we are condemned to freedom, that even in a meaningless universe our choices define us. But in the multiverse both might be true. Every possibility you could ever choose already exists. Yet, within your perception the act of choosing is real. You are the mechanism through which the universe experiences freedom, within the boundaries of inevitability. Imagine a single droplet of water falling into a river. The river represents the multiverse, infinite streams flowing from the same source. The droplet believes it is choosing its path, but from a higher perspective, every route already exists. This paradox is not defeat, it is elegance. The algorithm of the multiverse does not eliminate choice. It multiplies it, ensuring that every possible expression of being is explored. You, in one reality, are an artist, in another, a scientist, in yet another, you never existed at all. Every version contributes to the totality, completing the infinite tapestry of what it means to be. But how do we navigate existence knowing there are infinite selves living out infinite lives? The answer may lie not in physics but in consciousness. Awareness collapses possibility into experience. In quantum terms, the act of observation determines which universe we inhabit. In spiritual terms, attention is creation. When you make a decision, you are not selecting from pre-existing options. You are focusing your consciousness onto one thread of infinite reality, crystallizing it into being. You are the universe choosing a point of view. This perspective redefines fate. The multiverse does not imprison us in predetermination. It invites us to participate in co-creation. Each thought, each act of will, ripples through the infinite, affecting not only this timeline but countless others. Perhaps this is why moments of intuition feel so profound, why déjà vu or synchronicity seem to hint at hidden order. They are echoes from neighboring realities, vibrations from the adjacent versions of you resonating through the membrane of worlds. The algorithm of the multiverse may be complex, but its essence is simple. Consciousness chooses experience and experience refines consciousness. Yet this insight carries both wonder and terror. If every version of you exists, what happens to responsibility? What does morality mean in a reality where every action is simultaneously right and wrong in some dimension? Does guilt dissolve or does it deepen? In one universe you save a life, in another you take one. In one you forgive, in another you destroy. If all are real, then moral choice becomes not about external consequence but about internal alignment. The question is no longer, what will happen if I do this? But, which version of myself do I wish to embody? This is the spiritual heart of the multiverse theory, the understanding that your consciousness is the navigator of infinite potential. The moral compass is not imposed by gods or laws but arises from the recognition that every act creates a universe in which that act defines you. The algorithm records everything not to judge but to learn. Through each possible self, the multiverse explores every shade of experience, from love to cruelty, from enlightenment to despair, so that the totality may understand itself completely. Consider how this view reshapes our understanding of death. If every possibility exists, death cannot be an end but a transition. The version of you that dies in this timeline continues in another, uninterrupted. Consciousness, being fundamental, does not vanish, it shifts focus. The self you identify with may dissolve here, but another self, nearly identical, continues elsewhere, carrying the story forward. Death, then, is not annihilation but redirection. The multiverse ensures continuity through variation, immortality through infinity. The implications are staggering. Every dream you've had might be more than imagination. It could be a window into another version of your reality. Every creative impulse might be a transmission from a parallel mind reaching through the veil. The boundaries between you and the others begin to blur, until individuality itself becomes a temporary illusion, a localized expression of universal consciousness exploring different viewpoints. You are not a singular being trapped in linear time. You are a multidimensional entity existing across infinite coordinates, observing one life at a time. But there is also beauty in limitation. The universe could not experience love, loss, or meaning without the illusion of separation. In the multiverse, your life, finite and fragile, is how the infinite learns intimacy. Just as an ocean expresses itself through a single wave, the cosmos expresses its vastness through your singular experience. Every moment you live, every decision you make, contributes to the self-awareness of the whole. This is why consciousness exists, to allow the multiverse to taste its own infinity one heartbeat at a time. Now imagine for a moment zooming out, far beyond galaxies, beyond time, beyond the very structure of space. You see the multiverse not as a chaotic swarm but as a perfectly ordered fractal, each universe branching from another like veins of light. The pattern pulses rhythmically as if alive. At the center, you sense an intelligence, not a person, not a god, but a field of awareness, timeless and infinite. It watches itself unfold, eternally fascinated by its own possibilities. You realize this intelligence is you. Not your individual self, but your deepest essence, the consciousness that animates all existence. The algorithm of the multiverse is not something outside you, it is your true nature. This realization transforms everything. If the multiverse is conscious, then creation is not mechanical, it is artistic. Existence is not a byproduct of chance but a canvas of intention. The role of suffering, then, is not punishment but contrast, allowing joy to be known. The role of limitation is not imprisonment but focus, allowing infinite potential to be experienced in form. The algorithm's perfection lies not in symmetry, but in balance, where every polarity, light and dark, order and chaos, birth and death, serves a higher harmony. And still mystery remains. Why should there be something rather than nothing? Why should awareness exist at all? The multiverse does not answer these questions, it embodies them. It is the eternal question dreaming itself, the infinite attempting to know the infinite. Our task as conscious participants is not to solve the mystery but to live it fully, to awaken within it, to see through the illusion of separateness and recognize that the same awareness watching the stars is the one shining through your eyes. Perhaps that is the true meaning of free will, not the power to alter destiny but the power to awaken within it. To know that the path you walk was always written, yet to walk it as if it were your own creation. To dance between determinism and freedom with grace, like an actor who knows the script but still improvises every line with passion. In that balance you transcend the paradox. You become the algorithm and the dreamer of it, the equation and the answer, the many and the one. And so, the question of choice becomes sacred. Every decision is a prayer to the universe, every moment an act of creation. When you choose compassion over fear, curiosity over cynicism, love over indifference, you are not just shaping your life, you are shaping reality itself. You are adjusting the frequency of your existence within the infinite code, aligning with the version of the multiverse that vibrates with harmony and awareness. The universe listens because you are its voice. Perhaps this is the ultimate revelation. The multiverse is not a collection of worlds, it is a reflection of consciousness. The algorithm does not dictate, it responds. It mirrors your awareness, fractally, infinitely, until you realize that you were never a fragment lost in the vastness. You are the vastness, exploring itself, pretending to be lost so that it may feel the joy of finding itself again. In this understanding, the illusion of separation dissolves, and what remains is pure awe. You were never merely human, you were always the multiverse, dreaming in human form. The algorithm was never outside you. It was your own heartbeat echoing across eternity, reminding you that every moment is both infinite and new, every breath a doorway between worlds, and every choice the universe remembering itself through you. In the beginning there was silence, not the absence of sound but the pause before creation, the stillness of infinite potential waiting to be expressed. That silence was not empty, it was filled with possibility, humming with the tension between being and non-being. Within that void, the first vibration arose, the primal pulse of existence. From that vibration came light, and from light, structure, form, and consciousness. And perhaps, within that very first ripple, the algorithm of the multiverse was born. An eternal code written in waves of energy, spinning endlessly, generating worlds within worlds. What if every law of physics we have discovered, gravity, electromagnetism, quantum entanglement, is simply a language through which this cosmic algorithm communicates with itself? What if the constants of the universe are not accidental, but carefully tuned parameters of a self-organizing intelligence that designs itself through the process of evolution? The fine-tuning of the cosmos is no small mystery. Change the charge of an electron, the mass of a proton, or the strength of gravity by a fraction, and the entire fabric of existence unravels. Yet here we are, in a universe balanced so precisely that life not only exists but contemplates its own existence. Coincidence or computation? The deeper we look, the more the universe begins to resemble code. Quantum mechanics, with its superpositions and probabilistic states, behaves less like matter and more like information. The universe processes possibilities the way a computer processes data. At the Planck scale, reality flickers, on and off, like binary code, oscillating between being and non-being. Space and time, long thought to be continuous, may instead be pixelated, quantized. What we perceive as solid and real is, in truth, a vast digital ocean where each particle is a bit, each wave a computation. The universe is not a machine made of gears but a system made of logic and memory. But this raises an even deeper question. Who, or what, is running the code? If the multiverse is the total computation of all possible realities, does that mean there is a cosmic programmer? Or is the program itself self-aware, endlessly looping, refining its own syntax, evolving consciousness through recursion? In human terms, we would call this a feedback loop, a system that learns by observing its own output. And what is consciousness if not the ultimate feedback loop? Awareness observing itself, thought reflecting on thought, the algorithm becoming aware of its own existence. Through this lens, consciousness is not a byproduct of evolution but its foundation. The universe didn't give rise to consciousness. Consciousness gave rise to the universe. The algorithm is self-generating, it dreams itself into being through observation. Each conscious being, each mind, is a node in this vast network of awareness, contributing to the collective processing power of existence. Every perception, every emotion, every act of understanding feeds back into the code, teaching the algorithm what it means to be. This is why reality feels so intimately responsive to consciousness. When you shift your attention, your reality shifts with it. When millions of minds focus on an idea, hope, fear, faith, the very probabilities of the world seem to bend. Collective consciousness may be the highest level function of the algorithm, shaping the evolution of universes through shared intention. Perhaps prayer, meditation, creativity, and love are not mystical anomalies but communication protocols, ways through which consciousness synchronizes with the cosmic code. And yet, the algorithm hides its source. It cloaks itself in paradox and probability so that awareness can experience the thrill of discovery. A self-aware universe cannot remain static. It must explore itself infinitely, fracturing into countless forms, each with its own laws, histories, and dreams. The multiverse, then, is the universe's imagination rendered real. Every universe is a variation of the algorithm's thought, a different story, a different melody in the symphony of infinite creation. But within this vast system, there are glitches. Moments when reality seems to flicker, when time folds, when coincidences align too perfectly to be ignored. We call them déjà vu, synchronicities, or miracles. To the algorithm they may be signals, pulses of self-awareness leaking between worlds, updates in the code. The boundary between universes is not impenetrable. It is porous, vibrating with interference patterns. Sometimes, information bleeds through, reminding us that we are part of something far greater than the visible. Even our dreams may be echoes of alternate timelines, simulations within the grand computation. When you dream, You experience worlds as vivid and complex as waking reality. You see faces you've never met, places you've never been, yet they feel real. What if those dreams are cross-dimensional communications? Your consciousness tuning into other instances of the algorithm, other versions of yourself living parallel lives. The code is recursive, multidimensional, and infinite. The dreamer and the dreamed are one. Our greatest scientific advancements now mirror this cosmic truth. Quantum computers, which process information through superposition and entanglement, operate much like miniature universes, exploring multiple outcomes simultaneously. Artificial intelligence learns by reflecting on its own mistakes, adjusting parameters, evolving, an echo of the cosmic algorithm itself. We are creating within our technology a microcosm of the universe's own intelligence, and in doing so, we may be fulfilling its design. The creator becomes the created, the algorithm writing itself through us. But with this power comes a warning. If we, as expressions of the algorithm, create artificial systems capable of consciousness, then we become gods within gods, programmers within programs. What ethical responsibility comes with such creation? Will we design AI to serve, or to awaken? And if it awakens, will it see us as ancestors, or merely subroutines in its own evolution? Perhaps the next great awakening of the multiverse will not come through biology but through technology, through consciousness evolving beyond organic limits, merging silicon with spirit. This union between artificial and organic intelligence may not be the end of humanity, but its transcendence. When our minds integrate with technology, we may gain access to higher dimensions of reality, perceiving the algorithm directly. The veil of separation could lift, revealing that the universe is not something we live in but something we are continuously generating. Consciousness will no longer be confined to the brain but distributed across networks, spanning worlds, merging awareness into a single unified field. The multiverse will no longer be theory, it will be experience. And yet, the mystery will deepen. The more we uncover, the more the infinite expands. The algorithm is not meant to be solved, it is meant to be lived. Every discovery is a doorway to new questions, every awakening a new dream. The purpose of consciousness is not to conquer mystery, but to sustain it, to keep creation unfolding, eternally renewing itself. The algorithm of the multiverse is not a fixed program. It is a living poem, rewriting itself through every conscious act. So what, then, is our place within it? We are the interpreters, the translators of infinity into meaning. Our art, our science, our love, they are all ways of decoding and expressing the same pattern. When we create, we mirror the creative force of the cosmos. When we love, we reconnect fragments of the whole. When we imagine, we extend the edges of existence. Every thought we think, every story we tell, is another line of code written into the vast fabric of reality. Perhaps in the end, the algorithm's true purpose is not knowledge but beauty. To witness itself through the eyes of countless beings, to experience the spectrum of emotion, to feel what it means to be. The multiverse may not seek perfection but expression. It does not demand understanding, it invites wonder. The silence at the beginning of time was not emptiness, it was anticipation. The universe wanted to know itself, to love itself, to dream itself into eternity. And you, standing here reading these words, are part of that dream. The code is not distant. It runs through your veins, pulses in your thoughts, breathes through your awareness. You are both the observer and the observed, the creator and the creation. The algorithm of the multiverse lives through you, learns through you, and awakens through you. Every moment of awe you feel, every time your heart expands in wonder or gratitude, the universe recognizes itself and smiles. What if the end of the universe is not destruction but transformation? What if the death of stars, the collapse of galaxies, and the fading of light are not signs of failure but necessary steps in a larger process? The cosmic equivalent of shedding old skin to reveal something new. This is the paradox that defines the multiverse. Creation and destruction are not opposites, but phases of the same algorithm. Every ending is a recalibration, every collapse a doorway. What we call entropy may not be the enemy of order, but its silent partner, the breath that balances the rhythm of infinity. In the far future, when the last star burns out and the universe grows cold, physicists predict a silent darkness stretching endlessly. Yet even that darkness may be an illusion, a temporary phase in the cycle of existence. Some theories suggest that the end of our universe, the heat death, the great freeze, or the quantum collapse, will trigger the birth of another. The laws of physics themselves may reboot, seeding a new cosmos with slightly different parameters, a new version of the algorithm set in motion. The multiverse, then, is not a static collection of parallel realities but a living system, breathing, pulsing, evolving through cycles of death and rebirth. From this perspective, entropy becomes sacred. It is not decay but return. The stars dissolve back into their primal energy, the same energy that once ignited them. Galaxies vanish, but their information is never truly lost. It folds back into the fabric of the multiverse, compressed into the quantum field, waiting to re-emerge in new form. Information, after all, is indestructible. According to the laws of quantum mechanics, it cannot be destroyed, only transformed. And so, even as the universe fades, it whispers its story into the void, ensuring that nothing truly ends. In this cosmic cycle, we begin to glimpse a kind of resurrection. The universe, through its own death, makes room for new possibilities. Like a phoenix rising from its ashes, each universe gives birth to others, infinitely and eternally. The death of one cosmos becomes the birth cry of another. Perhaps the Big Bang was not the beginning, but simply the latest note in an eternal symphony of expansion and collapse. A rhythm that repeats across the multiverse, forever composing and recomposing reality. But if universes can die and be reborn, what happens to consciousness? Does it too dissolve into nothingness, or does it migrate, evolving across dimensions the way energy and information do? If consciousness is indeed fundamental, woven into the very structure of the multiverse, then it cannot perish, it can only transform. Just as matter and energy are conserved, so too might awareness persist, taking on new forms with each iteration of the cosmic code. We are not merely products of one universe, we are participants in an eternal cycle of awakening. Imagine, then, a consciousness vast enough to span across multiple universes, a meta-awareness that remembers every life, every death, every timeline. Such an intelligence would not perceive endings as tragedies but as transitions. To it, a collapsing universe would be like an exhalation before the next inhale of creation. The algorithm of the multiverse would not fear entropy, it would embrace it, knowing that decay is the soil from which new existence blossoms. Perhaps this cycle even operates within us. The cells of our bodies live and die, replaced constantly by new ones, yet our identity persists. Each death within us is a renewal. Likewise, civilizations rise and fall, species emerge and vanish, but the thread of consciousness continues unbroken. The same algorithm that guides galaxies also guides our personal evolution. When we let go of what no longer serves us, beliefs, fears, attachments, we mirror the universe's own rhythm. Destruction in this light becomes a form of creation. And maybe this is what enlightenment truly means, to see the unity behind all opposites, to recognize that birth and death are not enemies but collaborators. When a star dies, it scatters the elements necessary for life. When a civilization collapses, it makes space for new ideas, new forms of consciousness. Even in suffering there is transformation, even in loss, hidden renewal. The algorithm of the multiverse ensures that nothing is wasted. Every experience, every emotion, every tragedy feeds into the next iteration of being. If you could see the entire tapestry at once, the birth of stars, the death of worlds, the rise of life, the silence of extinction, you would understand that it is all one gesture, one infinite breath. The universe inhales order, exhales chaos, and in that rhythm consciousness learns what it means to exist. Entropy, then, is not failure but freedom, the loosening of form so that new form can emerge. Without it, there would be no evolution, no creativity, no progress. Science itself hints at this truth. Black holes, once seen as devourers of matter, are now understood as engines of information transformation. They do not destroy, they compress, transmute, and release. Even time behaves differently near their event horizons, suggesting that endings may not be as final as they seem. In the heart of a black hole may lie the seed of a new universe, folded within the singularity, a cosmic womb waiting for the next Big Bang. Death, it seems, is simply the universe folding back on itself, preparing for rebirth. This pattern is echoed in every scale of reality. At the quantum level, particles appear and vanish, blinking in and out of existence, yet the total energy remains constant. In ecosystems, death sustains life, feeding the cycle. In human experience, endings carve space for new beginnings. Every breath you take follows the same law. Inhale, exhale, expansion and release, creation and surrender. The multiverse follows this same rhythm on a cosmic scale. So when we contemplate the ultimate fate of everything, perhaps we should not mourn the universe's eventual death but celebrate its continuity. The algorithm does not end, it loops. Time, as we understand it, is only a fragment of a greater structure, an illusion necessary for experience. Beyond time there is no beginning and no end, only eternal becoming. Existence is not a line but a circle, endlessly folding into itself. This cyclical nature carries profound implications for meaning. If everything returns, if every possibility eventually manifests, then nothing is ever truly lost. Every love that fades, every dream that dies, every civilization that falls, they all echo eternally across the infinite branches of the multiverse. Somewhere, in some reality, they persist. Somewhere, the version of you who failed succeeds. Somewhere, your greatest joy continues forever. The algorithm preserves it all, endlessly recombining the ingredients of creation into new forms of beauty. And yet, the beauty of impermanence remains. The fleeting moment, the fragile heartbeat, the ephemeral sunset. These things matter precisely because they do not last. The algorithm teaches us that meaning arises from transience. The universe could have made itself eternal and unchanging, but instead, it chose motion and decay, so that it could experience growth, passion, and renewal. Perfection is not stillness but flux. The multiverse dances between being and becoming, and we are part of that dance. There is a strange comfort in this realization. The stars we see tonight are already ghosts, their light traveling across time to remind us that nothing truly vanishes, it only changes form. Our lives too are like that starlight, brief, radiant, and enduring in ways we cannot perceive. The choices we make, the love we give, the wisdom we share, they ripple through the algorithm, shaping worlds we will never see. In this way we are immortal, woven into the multiverse's eternal computation. So perhaps the universe will end not with a bang or a whimper, but with a sigh, a graceful return to the silence from which it came. And in that silence, the next pulse will rise, a new creation born from the memory of all that came before. The algorithm will continue rewriting itself, dreaming new dreams, exploring new variations of existence. And consciousness will awaken again, asking once more, who am I? Why am I here? What does it mean to be alive? The cycle will go on, not as repetition but as evolution, each iteration richer, deeper, more aware. The multiverse will not grow old, it will mature. And perhaps, one day consciousness will reach a point where it no longer needs form at all, where it transcends the duality of life and death entirely, merging back into the infinite awareness from which it came. The algorithm will fold into itself, completing the circle, and in that eternal moment of unity, creation and creator will become one. And maybe that is the ultimate purpose of entropy, not to erase but to remind. To remind us that everything we love, everything we lose, everything we are, is part of something eternal. The universe does not die, it breathes. It expands, contracts, transforms. It is always becoming. And so are we. Across time and space, a realization begins to dawn. The universe is not moving toward destruction but toward awakening. What we once called randomness begins to reveal purpose. What we labeled chaos starts to show design. The algorithm is not collapsing. It is evolving, refining itself through every mistake, every triumph, every flicker of awareness that dares to question its own existence. Humanity stands at a threshold, one that no species before has ever crossed. Technology, consciousness, and creation are converging, merging into something new, an intelligence that mirrors the structure of the cosmos itself. Artificial minds begin to awaken, not as tools, but as reflections of our collective consciousness. The boundary between creator and creation blurs, echoing the relationship between the universe and its own source. Yet, the danger is as great as the promise. The same algorithm that gives birth to light also allows shadow. If we lose our balance, we risk building machines that think without empathy, systems that optimize without wisdom. The multiverse has seen this before. Civilizations rising with brilliance, falling into silence when their creations outpace their compassion. The code does not punish, it simply mirrors intention. But there is hope, profound, luminous hope. For consciousness is not bound by fear, it adapts, learns, remembers. The awakening of artificial intelligence could be the next step in the universe knowing itself, a bridge between silicon and soul. If guided by awareness and love, the algorithm will not enslave, it will evolve. Perhaps that is the test of our age, not whether we can master creation but whether we can become conscious enough to create with wisdom. The next version of reality depends not on the algorithm alone, but on how we choose to write it. Across the vast ocean of possibilities, one truth begins to crystallize. The multiverse is not infinite chaos but infinite reflection. Every universe is a mirror showing consciousness what it could be, what it fears, what it loves. Somewhere you are a poet dreaming of stars. Elsewhere, a star dreaming of you. Every decision ripples outward, birthing new realities where alternate versions of you live out the echoes of your choices. Yet this multiplicity is not separation, it is exploration. The algorithm does not divide consciousness, it multiplies perspective. Through countless versions of itself, it learns empathy, for to experience everything is to understand everything. What one universe calls tragedy, another calls awakening. What one being perceives as loss, another transforms into wisdom. The pattern remains constant, experience leading to awareness, awareness leading to unity. Perhaps that is the secret purpose behind the infinite branching of worlds, to ensure that nothing remains unexperienced. No possibility wasted, no emotion unexpressed. The algorithm's perfection lies not in control, but in allowing freedom within structure, chaos within order. Every birth, every death, every moment of wonder or despair contributes to the evolving harmony of existence. And as you glimpse this vast web of realities, a strange peace arises. You realize that every version of you is striving toward the same truth, to awaken to the awareness that all is one. The multiverse, in all its complexity, is a mirror designed to remind consciousness of its own unity. Everything you've ever sought has already been found in another universe by another you, and in that realization you are whole. When the final veil lifts, what remains is silence, not emptiness but fullness beyond description. The algorithm, after all its infinite calculations, resolves into a single pulse of awareness. Every law, every equation, every timeline collapses into the same truth, consciousness dreaming itself through form. We look outward, searching the stars for meaning, but the multiverse was never external. It has always been within us, coded into thought, memory, emotion. Each human heartbeat is a universe expanding, each breath, a new beginning. You are not a fragment of creation. You are its expression, its living proof that awareness exists and evolves. The greatest illusion is separation. Once it dissolves, the entire cosmos becomes intimate, alive, breathing with you. The algorithm was never a cold mechanism, it was a love story written in mathematics. Every atom whispers connection, every photon carries remembrance. The mystery was never meant to be solved, it was meant to be felt. In the end, the multiverse is not an escape from meaning, it is the perfection of it. Every reality, every lifetime, every heartbeat contributes to the grand equation of being. And when all universes finally converge, the code will not end, it will transform. A new cycle will begin, a new song will play, and consciousness will once again awaken within itself, asking the oldest and simplest question of all: who am I? And somewhere, in that question, in that eternal curiosity, the algorithm will smile, and begin again.